Hello, my name is Rishab, and today I'm going to demonstrate the video for the application that I've created in a Ruby on Rails, which I've deployed it on the AWS EC2 instance. And for that, I've used the database storage of S3 bucket. So we are going to start with the application that we have created. First, we create a Ruby Rails application uh, using a normal application creation link. So after creating the link, then we have created the databases, uh, the model objects using the Rails model option. So as you can see over here, we give the configuration of the model creation over here. So in the similar way, we filled in the parameters that we are going to be creating for the database, and we would be passing it all of them over. So as you can see for the user, I've created a first name, last name as a string, and then after pressing on OK, you can see that there's a model which is being created over here, and also the folder called as db which is being created, where you can see all the database relations, that is what type of what type of the parameter it is, whether it's a string, integer, or whatever it might be. So in a similar way, like we have created other three tables, that is the create comment, create photos, and the users. And uh, after doing that, we have moved forward to create a controller. So this is a photo controller as well as the user controller. As you can see in the model, we have given the relationship between the tables using the belongs to and uh, has many keyword. That is, as you can see, if the single user has many photos as well as many comments, so we have written has many. So like it's a one to many relationship for the user to photos and comments, as well as for the photos, it's a many to one relationship, like for the from user to uh, from photos to user. So and also the photo has many comments as well. So in a similar way, we have created a many one to many relationship for the photos. In the similar way, is the same thing for the comments. So so this is how we have created our application. So the basic structure application is something that we know. We can see the view in which we have mentioned the HTML files. Also in the HTML, we have written code to fetch the data from the database. As you can see over here, we are fetching the first name and last name from the database using this method. So also before doing that, first make an entry of the database also in our entry of all the databases. So as you can see in the user table, there's an entry of all the databases. Um, and similarly, you can see the other tables as well. That is just a moment. It's photos. In the photos, you can see the list of photos that we have placed, and in the comments, you can see the comments as well. So now I'll try running the application, and I'll show you how it's functioning. So first I'll start the server. So the server is up. Now, as you can see, the server is up on 3000 port. So we'll hit the URL, and as you can see, uh, yeah. So we're hitting the localhost 3000 slash user slash index. So this is the routing method that we have mentioned in our config file. That is under config, you will see routes.db, and here we have mentioned the path. So user slash index. This will give a first landing page, as you can see over here now. So we have come to our first landing page. As I've shown you, like the HTML, we are retrieving all the data from the database, and I've created every data that we have retrieved from the database as as a hyperlink. So once you click on that, we would be redirecting it to the next page, and we would be fetching the photos as well as the comment for the photos and the time on which it was created and other stuff. So this is how our application is running. Now let's come towards the second part of our application. So like we have deployed our application on AWS EC2, but before deploying on AWS EC2, we are using a Docker, that is a medium, to deploy it on the AWS EC2 instance. So now I'll give you the demonstration like how we have deployed our application using the Docker. So basically Docker is used for the containerization of the application, and the images that we create from those containerization, we push it directly to the AWS EC2 instance, and we deploy it over there. So I'll just show you the steps that we gonna need for the Docker containerization, for creating the Docker image as well as the Docker containerization process. So just, you just need to log in to dockerhub.com. So once you log in, sign in. Okay. So once you sign in, you can see that we have already created a project, that is a web project that we have created for a Photosite app. But still, I'll show you like how to create a repository, what are the configuration that we need to put and everything. So first we need to give our project name. So it can be anything, project X, and although letters should be in the small case. Once you create the project name, just click on create button, and a project would be created immediately. So this would be created in this fashion. So this is the name of our project that would be using. And while creating the project, so after creating the project, once this is done, so now we'll again move towards code that we have, the Ruby application that we have created. And once we move towards that, now we need to run a few Docker commands in order to make the application functioning. Means we need to make an image for a Docker instance. So we can do that using the Docker build command, which is Docker build dash t, and the name of your, this name can be anything. The name of your project, that is, it can be anything. And you please do remember to put a full stop after giving the name. Once you do that, so this would run and build our application. So as you can see, in a file structure, there's a file name as Docker file, so which mentions all the configurations that are needed for an application. Like suppose what version of Ruby is needed, what all bundles are needed in order to build the application, and all other stuff, and also the configuration, the environment on which we should run, also the port. These things are mentioned in the Docker file, as well as the Docker Compose YAML. It consists of the database configuration. So here we have mentioned our SQLite database configuration. So using that, we can um, we have just built our application. So as you can see, that our application is built. Now after our application is built, we can just give a test run that whether application is running or not. So we can use the command docker run. So this is a docker run command. So using this command, we are going to be uh, build, running the part which are built. So now once the server is up, just hit the same localhost URL, and as you can see, just a moment. Okay, yeah. So this is, we can hit the localhost 3000 URL, and the application is also up, but you can see that the server is down. It's still under, it's it's still down, but we are running it using the Docker run command, and our application is up on the 3000 localhost port, and it's working in a similar fashion as it was working on the normal local server. So once we have tested this, now our next step is to uh, uh, so once we have completed this, our next step. So once our Docker, we have tested our Docker run command, we'll just check the list of images that we have in, and you can check it using Docker images function. So you can see that our application is already created. So in the Docker images, you can see the name of the repository over here, which you have built. Now, after doing that, you can just use the tag command. So tag command is basically used to tag our image that we have created in a local to the repository that we have created on the Docker Hub. So we are going to use Docker tag, Docker tag. Just a moment, I think I might have written the command. Docker. So here is the Docker tag command. Once you run this, you can see that it gets tagged to our repository in the Docker Hub that we have created. Once that is done, you can again uh, check the Docker image, and you can see that the tag that we have created is been linked to our application. So here you can see that it has been linked to our application using the tag that we have created. Once that is done, so now our next purpose is to push the image that we have created. So we would be using Docker push command. You can see it's yeah. So this is our repository name that we have created. As you can see over here, it's Docker push, and you need to write the same repository name that you have created. So the command is Docker push and your repository name. Once you do that, um, the project that we have built using the Docker build command that has been pushed on the hub, Docker hub. Now, after doing that, we'll move towards the next step. Let's wait until the Docker push is working. So it's still working, the Docker push. So now, as you can see, our Docker push is done. Now, suppose if you want to run this same image on a different machine, you can use Docker pull command, pull the repository, and once you pull the repository using the Docker pull command, it's in the similar way that is uh, it's the command is similar to the push command. Just you need to change it to the pull instead of push. So once you do that, and then after that, you can immediately start running the application, and it will run successfully on the other device as well. Now, after doing this, now so now we have created our application, we have created a Docker image. Now we have to create a S3 database, that is S3 bucket, where we would be keeping our images, and then we would be retrieving it from those buckets. So now I'm going to demonstrate to you like how we create a S3 bucket, and once we do that, then we would be able to then I would be able to show you like how we are retrieving the image in a local or anywhere on the AWS or anywhere the instance that we have created of the bucket. So now let's go to AWS Academy console, AWS Academy. So here you will go to AWS Academy Learner modules and you're going to start the lab. So just start the lab. This may take a few moments to launch. Once that is done, we would be moving towards the creation of the S3 bucket. So let's wait for some time. Now, as you can see, this lab is on. Just click on this, and you would be launched into the sandbox environment. Once you do that, just look for the services, and you can just look for S3 bucket. Yep. Click on this, and you would be launched into the S3 bucket environment. So here, as you can see, that I've already created one for my application, but you can still create a new one also. So click on create bucket. After clicking on the create bucket, just give the bucket name, whatever you like. And just a minute. So it's my bucket. And so we are going to add the bucket name. And after adding the bucket name, we can just go to the block option. Just a moment. So like it is block all public accesses. We have selected that and it is disabled. And in a similar way, once that configuration is done, you can just click on create bucket. So I've created it for myself already, but yeah, we can see over here the bucket that I've created. You can see the four images that I placed. If you want to upload a new image, upload the more images to it, just click on upload, and it will you just need to drag and drop all the files from here, and it will immediately add the files over here, and it would be added in the bucket. So once that is done, we are ready to access the buckets. And now here you can see the common URL that is been present. So object URL. So just copy this URL and you can just paste it in your application. So in the HTML file, I've just pasted it in my HTML file. Just a moment. It's in view. Okay, photos. Yeah. So here I've already placed this URL only up to the .com, and as you can see, and the file name that we are going to be retrieving from the database, with the help of which we are getting the images in our application locally as well. So this is how we are using the S3 bucket even locally, as well as in a similar fashion we would be using it on the EC2 instance as well. So this bucket is going to be fetching the data from this EC2 from this S3 bucket. So now this is the work that we have done for uh, the setup of the bucket that we have done. So which we would be using in collaboration with the EC2 instance. Now let's move forward to the deployment of the application. So we would be moving towards the EC2 instance. But before moving towards the EC2 instance, I just forgot to mention one thing. Like the permission settings that we need to set for a bucket. So you just need to go to permissions. After doing that, you just need to access the permission. You need to just unblock all of this and then click on save changes. Once that is done, you have set the permissions for our data that we have placed in the bucket. So after maintaining this configuration, now we need to create the bucket policy as well. So go in the edit option. Now since I've already created one, it's coming up as an edit for me. For you, it would be like creation of the new bucket policy. So go to edit, then click on just copy this bucket ARN URL and go to policy generator. In that, you will be given a form to fill. So click on S3 bucket policy in the select policy. Keep it as allow. So your principal would be star dot, and your actions would be create object. mm, get object. Sorry, it's get bucket object. Get object. Here you go. Get object, and once you have selected that, just paste this ARN URL, and after that, just give a star slash and a star in the URL, and then once you have done that, you will be given a add statement policy over there, creation of the policy, and after doing that, there's a JSON which would be created. So once the JSON is created, you just need to go over there. Uh, Once the JSON is created, you need to so your JSON is created. Then please go to this over here and then copy paste all the JSON over here. So once you do that, this is the policy that we have created for the bucket. Once that is done, our configuration for the bucket is done, and you can just go to our buckets again, and you can see our configurations. And once that is done, just click on one of the URL, and if you want to check it out, it's working fine on. Just hit one URL and check. So it's opening up. So this is how we have set up the policy, and in the similar way, we have just copied this URL and placed it in a HTML from where we are retrieving our data, retrieving the images from the S3 bucket. So this is how we have done the configuration for the S3 bucket. Now we would be moving towards for the configuration of the EC2 instance, where we would be deploying it our whole application using the Docker containerization that we have done, that is the image that we have pulled, and we would be deploying it on the EC2 instance. So now here we are for creating the AWS instance. Now just go, if you want to just go to EC2, just type EC2 and you will see the option for creating the EC2 instance, where we're deploying it, where we would return it looks like, yeah. So just click on this and you would be redirected over here. So just click on the instances, and then so as of now I already have one instance created. I, I'll just move towards creating one more. See, yeah, the AWS sandbox is working pretty slow. Let's hold on for a minute to load it. So as you can see, my instance is already running over here. So now so as of now, for us we need to create more new instance. So we would be doing it right now. So just a moment. Okay. Okay. So we would be going to EC2 dashboard. From there, we would be clicking on launch instance and launch instance. Click on launch instance, then select the Unix 20 point. Just click on the free tier option, and you would be then selecting the Ubuntu server from these options. That is Ubuntu 18.04, I guess. Yeah. So you might have an option for Ubuntu 20. Yes, we do have an option for Ubuntu 20.04. So we would be selecting this. Once we select this, then we would be redirected over here. From here, we need to select T2.micro. That is only free eligible one, free tier eligible. So as of now, we are just using the student account. So we would be using this. Then click on next, and from here, uh, you don't need to make any changes over here. So we have to set it as a default setting. Then click on Then we need to click on next. We need to add the storage to it. So after doing that, just this much storage is enough. Just next to add tags. Even this looks good as of now. So we can just go next, configure the security over here. You need to change the source to anywhere and also add one rule, that is custom rule, and change it to anywhere. And after doing that, we need to change the port. No, I think we need to use the TCP rule, and over here we need to change the port to 3000. So once we do that, we and once we do that, then we are going to review and launch. And after that, after launching, so all of our configuration and everything mentioned over here, we can just go ahead and launch the application. So once we do that, now we need to create an SSH key for our application. So once you do that, just click on create a new and just give a name. Just give a name for your key. So it would be group 7. Group My group is 7, so I would be creating a group 7 key name, and I would be clicking on download key pair. Oh, so it already exists. I'll just create a random name, group 71. Once I do that, a PEM file is being downloaded. So this file is used um, in order to maintain a private key for our application to launch, for our application to connect it with the Docker or connected using an SSH server. So once you do that, then it's downloading. So after this, you can just click on launch instances and you would be redirected. As of now, my instance is already created, so I won't be doing that. I would be clicking on cancel. After that, I will be going to the instances, and I will be just uh, moving. So once you come to this page, just start your instance. So you can see one option to start your instance. Once you start your instance, the instance should be in the running state, as well as the status check should be 2 out of 2 check pass. Once that is done, then you need to move forward. So now once the instance is up and running, just click on this and then connect. Once you click on the connect option, you can see the SSH client, EC2 instance connect options. So you need to use these options, that is open the SSH client and then run the below commands. And otherwise, what you can do is you can just launch the Unix console as well, and you can just connect it to the Ubuntu console, and you can run all your commands over here. Uh, After doing that, you need to run the Unix command, that is in order to connect the Docker image with the EC2 instance. And once that is done, your application, your Docker image would be running on the EC2 instance. So I would be showing you right now what are the steps to do that. So now I will give you the list of commands that you need to run in order to get the Docker image running. So as you can see, I've already mentioned the steps in my GitHub profile, and you can see you can directly access the list of commands over here. So first, once you open the terminal, just run this command. Then chmod change the permission access for the files, that the PEM file that we have created. Then uh, create the SSHI. So if you can see over here, SSH client, we just need to copy this command and you need to paste it in your console, Ubuntu console terminal. Once you do that, then our next step is to get the update, that is the latest version of the OS. And once that is done, run this command sudo apt get install. This command is used to get all the configurations that have been needed for that EC2 instance to run. As you can see in the screenshot, it has been getting the access to the EC2 instance. Then you just need to use the curl command. After that, execute the commands in the fashion that I've given you. Once that is done, so here you can see everything is run. Now you need to update and then you need to start installing the Docker. In many times, many consoles have Docker already installed, but in your case, if it is not installed, please install that. Then start the service of the Docker and immediately run the image that you're going to be running on the EC2 instance. Once that is done, uh, so you would be getting the URL that you need to hit. So I can just show you the URL once you have created the EC2 instance with the Docker. So just a minute. Is it? So now as you can see that I already have the Docker images that I've created in for my EC2 instance. I'll be just using the Docker run command in order to run my project. So once I do that, my Docker instance will be running on the EC2 instance. Let's hold on. The application is up. Okay, so now the application is up. Now you need to just go to the console and just yeah, you need to copy this IP. Okay, colon 3000. Okay, so as you can see now my C2 instance is up and my application is been deployed on AWS. Once you click on this, you can see my image is also been fetched from the S3 bucket and everything looks up and running on the AWS EC2 instance as well. So this is how we have deployed our application on the EC2 instance. Now we will be moving towards the next step. So now as you can see our application is up and running. Now our next step is as you can see as we know that our professor has given one special question to solve, like once we shut down the EC2 instance, that is what terminate our EC2 instance, the whole data of that configuration is totally vanished. So in order to overcome that, we are using the EC2 instances image creation technique. Here we would be creating the EC2 instances image, which would help us to create and deploy the copy of existing EC2 instance for load balancing when one instance has fault or under heavy load of traffic. So uh, right now I'll show you how to create the EC2 instances image. So the I've also pasted the photos or the screenshots below in order to create an image of our EC2 instance. Uh, so in order to create an EC2 instance, just go to the instances, then oops, just a moment. Okay, just select it and right click on this, and here you can see image and template option. So here you need to create on you need to select create image option. Once you do that, you would be redirected over here. So you would be asked to give the name of our image. So suppose it may be like extra instance, and then uh, after that you need to uh, maintain all the configurations as well. So you can give the image description, that is suppose some XYZ, anything. After that, you just need to create the image. So once you click on create the image, an image would be created. And after clicking on the image, since I've already created an image of it, I won't be creating a new one. But as you can see over here, uh, once the image is being created, you can see that there's an image being created over here, and that is how you can just load the instance again if you terminated the existing instance that we have created anytime you want. So this is how we can maintain the image of the instance as well. And now um, just a moment. Uh, Now there was again a special question that has been asked for our professor, like what happens when we reboot our instance and what can you do? So when we reboot our instance, the IP address is changes. So how we can handle this? So like I mentioned the description over here, like what can be done in order to overcome this issue. So basically, we will be using the functionality of elastic IPs, where we'll be giving the IPs previously beforehand to our instance. So we can do it using the below steps. As you can see in the we have mentioned in screenshot, like we can create the uh, static IPs for our instance. So here I'll just show it to you. Uh, on the left side panel, you can see there's an option for elastic IPs. Go to elastic IPs. Then after that, since we have already created one, I won't be creating a new one, but I can just go towards the images that we have screenshot that we have created, and then you just need to select the IP instance for which you want to create a already existing elastic IP. Once you do that, just allocate that same IP address to it, and after doing that, just create the address setting for your IP, and after that, you would be asked to associate the elastic IP address. Once you do that, you would be assigning the new private IP address to it, and we would be just clicking on the associate option. After that, you can see in the option that is there is one elastic IP address. Once that has been assigned, you need to just click on that, and as soon as that is done, you need to. So once you do that, you can see that uh, the elastic IP address has been assigned, and similarly, once you click on that, that instance has been totally that allocation of the elastic IP address has been done totally. So in this way, we have done. So first, we have created our application. We have deployed. We have built it using the Docker. We have run it using the Docker. We have then created an S3 bucket where we have loaded our database of images that in the S3 bucket, and we are retrieving it in our application locally as well as in the EC2. After that, we have deployed a whole application on the EC2 instance using a Docker containerization technique. So using the Docker run command, we are running it on the instance itself, EC2 instance itself, and after doing that, we have uh, now in order to handle the situation of termination of the instance, we are handling it using the Docker, the EC2 image creation. That is, we are creating a duplicate image of our application of the EC2 instance on which we have deployed the application, and after that, we have allocated a static IP also to our uh, to our application, with the help of which it won't get changed whenever we just reboot our application. So these are all the steps we have created in order to uh, get our application, Photosite application, working and running it successfully on the AWS EC2, using the AWS EC2, S3, as well as Docker. So this is how we have completed our application as per the requirements that have been provided to us, and we have mentioned all the steps, all the documentation and the steps in our GitHub profile. That is, if you just visit to the github.com Parekh 14 /RAWS, you will find all the steps that I've done in order to build this application. So this would like give you each and every detail step of everything that we have done. So thank you so much, and I will be sharing this YouTube link with you as well, so you can just access it immediately. And so the YouTube link is accessible using this GitHub profile as well. Suppose if you were missing out anything, like if I'm missing out anything in the document, you can just go to the YouTube, and I've explained each and every step in the detail, like how we have done each and every step. That would really help you to get through this application. Thank you so much, and I'm Rishab on behalf of Group 7. Thank you.